Hello cricket fans, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're paying tribute to a modern-day master, Virat Kohli, as he announces his retirement from Test cricket. 123 matches, countless memories, and an undeniable legacy. Thank you, Virat, for your electrifying presence in the longest format. With Virat calling time after 123 tests, we're taking a unique look back. How did his numbers at this exact juncture, 123 matches played, compare to the legendary Sachin Tendulkar? We'll look at overall stats, including innings played, and then, crucially, we'll dive deep into their away performances, country by country. This isn't about crowning a winner, it's a celebration of two of India's finest. Alright, let's lay the foundation with the overall test statistics for both players after exactly 123 matches. Both played 123 matches. Virat Kohli batted in 210 innings, while Sachin Tendulkar, having more not-outs early on, had 198 innings under his belt at this stage. Now, 4 runs scored. Sachin, in fewer innings, had crossed the 10,000-run mark, reaching 10,134. Virat, with a phenomenal career, had accumulated 9,230 runs. The crucial batting average. Sachin Tendulkar's average after 123 tests was a stellar 57.25. Virat Kohli stood at a very strong 46.85. A clear lead for Sachin here in terms of average per dismissal. Let's talk centuries and 50s. Sachin was ahead with 34 centuries and 41 50s. King Kohli had notched up an impressive 30 tons and 31 half-centuries. And their highest scores within these first 123 matches. Very close. Virat's top score was 254 not out, while Sachin's was 248 not out. Both capable of monumental innings. Now, let's get to a fascinating part of this comparison. Performing away from home. This is often considered the true test of a batsman's skill and adaptability. We'll compare their records in key test nations after their first 123 matches. Let's compare both players in Senna conditions, which is often used as a benchmark for Asian batters. When it comes to performance in the toughest overseas conditions, the Senna countries, the numbers speak volumes. Sachin Tendulkar, across 39 matches in South Africa, England, New Zealand, and Australia, scored 3,237 runs at a phenomenal average of 53.06. Virat Kohli, in 48 matches across the same countries, has scored 3,781 runs, but with a lower average of 41.54. Despite playing more matches and scoring more total runs, Kohli trails Tendulkar in terms of consistency and impact, as reflected in the average. In Senna countries, Sachin's class stands tall. But we're narrowing the focus, we're looking purely at their test match performances in away conditions, head-to-head, country by country, based on the data we have. And crucially, we'll also touch upon the context of the opposition they often faced. Before we jump in, let's set a benchmark for what these averages mean. In Test cricket, especially away from home, an average between 30 to 35 is generally considered average. 35 to 40 is decent. 40 plus is good. 50 plus is great. 60 plus is phenomenal. And anything 70 plus? That's just genius level stuff. Alright, let's get to the numbers. We'll go country by country. First up, Australia. Always a tough place to tour, with consistently strong bowling attacks across both eras. Sachin Tendulkar played 12 tests, scoring 1,029 runs with 4 centuries, averaging 54.15. That's a great average down under against formidable Aussie sides. Virat Kohli, in 18 tests, amassed 1,542 runs with a fantastic 7 centuries, averaging 46.72. That's a good average, verging on great, and those 700s are significant against quality Australian attacks as well. So, in Australia, Sachin holds the edge in average, while Kohli has more runs and centuries, playing more matches. Both faced world-class bowlers here. Next, onto England, known for its challenging swinging and seaming conditions. Sachin, in 10 tests, scored 1,074 runs with 400s, at a truly genius average of 71.60. Absolutely incredible, often against skillful English seamers. Kohli, over 17 tests, has 1096 runs with 2 centuries, averaging 33.21. That falls into the average category in England according to our benchmarks. A clear statistical advantage to Sachin in England based on average. South Africa, another notoriously tough place for touring batsmen, consistently boasting strong pace attacks. Sachin played 9 tests, scoring 636 runs with 3 centuries, averaging 42.40. A good performance against some fearsome Proteas bowlers. Kohli, also in 9 tests, scored 891 runs with 2 centuries, at an average of 49.50. That's also a very good average, knocking on the door of great, facing potent South African attacks. Kohli with more runs and a higher average here, Sachin with 1 more century. Both commendable. Let's head to New Zealand. Sachin, in 8 tests, 498 runs, 1 century, averaging 41.50. A good outing in tricky conditions. Kohli, in 4 tests, has 252 runs, 1 century, averaging 36.00. That's a decent average in Kiwi conditions. Sachin with a better average here. Across to the Caribbean, the West Indies. Now, this is where era context becomes very important. Sachin, in 10 tests, 620 runs, 1 century, and a good average of 47.69. It's crucial to remember that during a significant part of Sachin's encounters, he was up against legendary West Indian pace batteries, including the likes of Curtly Ambrose and Courtney Walsh. Scoring consistently against them was a monumental task. Kohli, in 11 tests, scored 660 runs, including a double hundred, with 2 centuries in total, averaging 44.00. Also a good average. It's fair to say that the West Indian test sides during Kohli's era, while still presenting challenges, were generally not the same dominant force of the 80s and 90s. Both delivered good performances, Kohli with more runs and an extra ton. But Sachin's numbers came against arguably one of the most feared attacks in history for a portion of his career. Now, for Sri Lanka. Another interesting point of comparison regarding team strength. Sachin, in just 6 tests, was on another planet. 670 runs, for centuries, and an astronomical average of 111.66. That's beyond genius. And he often faced a Sri Lankan attack spearheaded by the legendary Muttiah Muralitharan and Chaman Davaz, making these numbers even more remarkable. Kohli, in 6 tests, has 394 runs, 2 centuries, averaging 43.77. A good average in Sri Lanka. While still competitive, the Sri Lankan test team during Kohli's main tours there might not have had the same depth of bowling threat as in Sachin's prime encounters with them. And Bangladesh. Sachin, in 3 tests, piled on 302 runs, including a 248 not out, with an average of 151.00. Again, an unbelievable, genius-tier performance, albeit in fewer matches. Kohli, in 3 tests, has 59 runs, averaging 14.75. A tougher time for Virat in Bangladesh according to these stats, which is below our average benchmark. A stark contrast in Bangladesh. Against Zimbabwe, away from home. Sachin played 4 tests, 240 runs, averaging 40.00. A good solid average. For Virat Kohli, the data shows N/A, indicating he hasn't played test matches in Zimbabwe as per this dataset. Finally, Pakistan. Away stats for Sachin. This is a significant point. Sachin Tendulkar, in 7 tests in Pakistan, scored 420 runs with 1 century, that famous 194 not out, averaging 46.66. That's a good average, especially when you consider he was facing some of the most iconic fast bowlers ever, Wasim Akram, Waqar Younis, Shoaib Akhtar, and crafty spinners like Saqlain Mushtaq on their home turf. Those were fierce contests. For Virat Kohli, the data shows N/A for away tests in Pakistan. Due to political reasons, India hasn't toured Pakistan for tests during Kohli's career, so he hasn't had the opportunity to test himself against Pakistan in their home conditions. So, what does this all tell us, especially when we layer in the context of opposition? Sachin Tendulkar's away record is phenomenal. A genius average in England, and mind-blowing numbers in Sri Lanka against Murali and Vash. he maintained good or great averages in Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, West Indies against Ambrose and Walsh, Zimbabwe, and crucially, a good average in Pakistan against their legendary pace attack. Virat Kohli has also had some excellent away performances, particularly in Australia and South Africa, posting good averages against strong sides. He also delivered good averages in the West Indies and Sri Lanka, and decent in New Zealand. However, his average in England is in the average category, and he had a difficult series in Bangladesh. He's not had the chance to play tests in Zimbabwe or, significantly, in Pakistan away from home. The West Indies and Sri Lankan teams he faced were also arguably past their peak strengths compared to when Sachin played them. When we apply our benchmarks and consider the era, Sachin's record shows remarkable consistency and high peaks against often legendary bowling attacks in their home conditions. Kohli has also performed admirably, especially in Australia and South Africa. The lack of away tests in Pakistan is a missing piece in this specific comparison, and the relative strength of some opponents differed. It's clear both are legends. Sachin's numbers, especially when factoring in the caliber of bowlers like Wasim, Waqar, Ambrose, Walsh, and Muralitharan in away conditions, are truly exceptional. Kohli, while having many great away performances, hasn't faced Pakistan away, and some of the other established test nations were perhaps not at their zenith during his peak tours. What do you guys think? Saying this, please don't misunderstood us that we claim that Kohli didn't face any potent attacks. We are saying that Kohli still faced strong attacks from Sena countries, South Africa, England and New Zealand, Australia, only non-Sena attacks were not similar to what Sachin faced. So after analysis of all these data, it becomes evident that Sachin was superior test batter after same number of international matches at the point of Kohli's retirement. But how these batter fared against each other in ODIs at peak of their power? Check out our video in description link. Thanks for watching.